Hey guys, Lady Lee here with a farm update for you. We are still working in, we'll call it plot number 1. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, I posted about the groundhog that was eating all my pumpkins. You can still see the pumpkin plants at the bottom of the rows there, and I'm mainly keeping them to attract the bugs and leave the other winter squash alone. We are not going to have any pumpkins because of the groundhog. He just ate all of them. I did set up a trap over there and then put a deer netting fence around. I just had a few rolls of it sitting in the shed, so I put that up, and then I put I think you can see at the bottom of the field there the trap. I set that about a week and a half ago, and since then he's gone. So I don't know if he just got the memo or decided to not bother. Maybe these things are really lazy. I don't know. But the winter squash is doing really good, so at least maybe we'll have some of that. I also already planted daikon radish here. So these are 2 beds of daikon radish that I have to thin. So that was a job for that day, and I'll show you in a minute how I did that. And then I had to also plant some celery that day. But before I started messing with the plants, I needed to cut my silage tarp into strips that are meant to cover the beds in transition between crops. So I love silage tarp. It's a black tarp with a white bottom that is basically kind of takes in the sun and burn all the weeds under it. I cover my beds with it, and it is saving me a ton of weeding. As a single mom to 4 kids that runs a farm and an online business, I have no time for weeding, just absolutely no time. So I invest in silage tarp, and as long as you make sure you don't walk on it like I'm doing right now, and treat it respectfully and nicely, this thing will last forever. I get mine from Berry Hill Irrigation in Virginia. You can also get it from Farmer's Friend, and I will never ever again farm without silage tarp. Here I put it on the walkways. It is not supposed to be on the walkways. I do not want to walk on it. It is just a temporary solution until I can get some weed cover. Weed cover is going to cover the walkways, and it's going to just stay there. But until I get that done, I put the silage tarp on the walkways. Those strips of silage tarp are basically going to be assigned for a bed, and let's say I harvest a bed, I cover it right away with silage tarp. This way there are no weeds growing there until I'm ready to plant the next crop. I've been doing this for a long time, and it's an amazing, easy way to garden. So once that was done, the next step was to plant some celery. I started these celery plants indoors about I think 6 to 8 weeks ago. Celery, let me give you a little bit of a tip here. You broadcast the seeds, the tiny seeds of the celery, on top of the soil. I tried to grow celery so many times, and I would get so frustrated because it wouldn't germinate. And then one day I was like, okay, let me read a little bit more. Well, I don't know another vegetable that need to be started this way, but celery seeds, they need light to germinate. And my problem was that I just assumed that it was just like the rest of the seeds, and you just bury them in the soil a little bit, and they'll germinate. Well, celery seeds need to be broadcasted on the soil, grow a little bit, and then transplant. Each little seedling is transplanted into a bigger cell tray. So after I figured that out, it was pretty easy to start celery indoors. And once I transferred each plant into a 72 cell tray, it grows pretty fast. It does need a really long growing season, so I will probably need to cover these couple of beds with greenhouse plastic to kind of extend our season a little bit. But we'll see how this is going to grow. This is really the first time that I'm growing celery on that scale. So there's about 150 plants here of celery. And what I did is I basically planted them on 8-inch interval between I marked the center of the bed with the white string, and then I planted on each side of the string to give them a little bit more room. So it's kind of like you have 2 rows, but it's not really 2 rows. Okay, so that was the celery, and then the radish, the daikon radish, needed to be thinned. This is not a job that I'm supposed to be doing. It takes a ton of time, and it can be very easily prevented with a seeder. So if you, on this scale, if you use a seeder to plant your seeds, then the seeder will space them in the right spaces. But because my soil is clumpy and there's a lot of rocks yet, since it's new, I could not use a seeder and I had to do it by hand. So now what I have to do is just thin them to about 3 to 4 inches between each other. I have a whole blog post on the blog about growing daikon radish, so I will link to it. And that's it for that day. It was a good day of work, and I will keep you updated on what's going on here.